This guy must have just hatched. This feels terrible, but he's not at least getting chewed on by my dog, which is where I found him. I have a praying mantis on my back and a moth on my ear. What is going on with my life? Guess I'm just gonna wait here till my friend leaves. What's going on with my life? 4 hours since I found the moth and he crawled up onto my ear. 11 p.m. And then it's time to move into the This is so freaking cool. I have a bug on my ear. Oh my god, the coolest thing.
That's so cute, isn't it? Oh my gosh, someone, hope you guys can hear me. Someone sent that to me on Twitter and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so adorable. I wish a moth would crawl up on my ear and be adorable. Good morning, everybody. I hope the volume and everything's okay. Hi, we are live from the Hive. I am still wearing my jammies because I have a wedding to get ready for this afternoon. So like right after the show, I'm hopping in the shower. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting dressed because usually I get dressed and do my makeup and stuff in the morning. So you guys get to see me how I look. I just woke up like this, as they say, and I braided this so that when I'm gonna keep it braided while I take a shower, so that when I let it out, it'll have this nice fluff to it. So it'll have some body for some nice bangs to flow over. I'm trying something different with my hair for the wedding. I could look totally ridiculous. So we'll see. My twin brother, of all people, is getting married to a lovely young lady. And I'm happy for him. I'm bringing my son Ian and his girlfriend, and we're gonna just have some fun this afternoon and evening with my brother and my family. We don't spend enough time with them. So good morning, everybody. Sorry about the personal info dump. I guess I do housekeeping with you guys. I don't know why I'm apologizing for that, but anyway, let me just say good morning to everybody because it's how we do here. We got Look at the Trees. Good morning, Sandy, Jason, Tobin. Delicious Danish. Linda, is that you? I hardly ever get to see you in my streams anymore. It's so good to see you. Of course, Rings here and Greg. And good morning, everybody. I'm so happy that you guys turned up for yet another rendition of Live from the Hive. I do have a murder hornet over here. I believe someone in the live chat got it for me. So I appreciate you and you're awesome. Oh, almost forgot. I did record this unboxing because someone sent me a gift, like a nice gift. It was gift wrapped and had a little gift tag and everything. Somebody sweet. And inside it was a mantis plushie. So, which is convenient because I just lost Petal. Petal just passed away. I mean, she's the only one that lived to be to maturity, but yeah. So I'm for the first time in years, I'm mantisless. So we might have to do some mantis shopping at some point. Right now, I don't know how things would look on that. I'd probably have to e-beg for funding for it. Well, I do still have my Patreon dollars. That's all the Patreon dollars I've ever gotten are still just stacking. They're not I haven't moved them because I was saving up to build a shelving system behind me in the Hive, a nice one with special made custom vivariums and to make it look really nice behind me, but that's not going to happen now. So I do have patron dollars to spend. Now, maybe we'll do a vote on that. I'm not sure, but there's a thing that's out there. Okay, it's not much. There's not. I mean, I've only been had Patreon for about. Has it been a year yet? I don't know if it's been a year. I think I might have started it in might have been July of 2021. I can't remember for sure. But regardless. Oh, good morning, Kira, Bjorn. Yes. It is so good to see you, Linda. I can't get over you being here, so I'm so happy. I see you active in the Hive, and I love it. And you're always posting like macros of insects and stuff. I love nothing more than scrolling through my feed and seeing like a cool insect macro or even a meme or something that's bug related, and I go to share it, and it's something Linda shared in my group. I love it so much. So there's a few things on topic this morning that I wanted to discuss before we get into the show. And I find myself once again at the center of some trans drama, which is to be expected, I guess, considering who I am and what I do. I'm a public person. I'm very public and about my mental health, about my transition and all that stuff, because I'm very much in the stigma kind of person. Sorry if I'm roboting. My connection has been crap this week. So sorry if I roboted there for a bit. So I engage openly with biblical literalists. They're Christians, okay? And this is something actually that roots back to what my good friend Maya Atkinson had said on a Math Pig stream when we were on there together. And she was speaking as a Black woman. I was speaking as a trans woman. That we go into conversations with these individuals under the full understanding that they are a transphobe, or that they're a misogynist, or that they're a racist, or those kind of things. So if we aren't willing to go into those conversations, then those are their rhetoric is going unchallenged. So I, for one, am okay with speaking with people like Otangelo and Jill, if they'll speak to me. A lot of them won't speak to me because I'm trans and it makes them uncomfortable. That's a them problem, though, not a me problem. So I will go into Otangelo's channel, and I went into Otangelo's channel a couple weeks ago and tried to engage Chris, who is also from what I can understand, like a biblical literalist. He's like a Andrew Tate follower kind of guy, and very transphobic. And I went in there to try to engage him. He bailed as soon as I popped in. But that is to be expected. Good morning, Doc Fearsome, Cernus. Good to see you guys. And I'm fine with that. But when I find one that will engage with me, like, again, God, that freaking every Saturday I'm going to complain about the sun shining in those little holes. I should get like a curtain or something to hang over that, you'd think, by this point, instead of whining about it, huh? I just like to whine. Hello, Sandy. Oh, I almost forgot. I guess my shoulders, are kind of famous for being sexy. I didn't realize I had sexy shoulders, but here they are. Show a little skin to get some views. Yeah, I got, you know what? I got the thing is, I was holding up to get a flag, because in this window here, the big double windows, which will be when I move to where the hive is going to be once I get my desk, it's going to be over here. Those windows will be what's shining under. I won't have to worry about this because I won't be here. Right now, this is sitting on my dresser. It's a laptop sitting on my dresser. So it's a little different than how it's going to be set up when all things are said and done. But I got a lot of other stuff going on in my personal life right now to worry about, trying to get a desk and stuff. But you know what? Give me just a second. I am going to try to cover that up because it's going to bug me if I don't. So one moment, you all can watch me in the background. think that got it. Nope. 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 A little bit lower. That get it. Now that did it. Yes. All right. I've already attained God status. Women can confirm. Oh, native atheist, you silly, silly guy. All right. So that actually takes care of that little issue that I was dealing with. So problem solved. We worked as a team to solve hang a it's an old pillowcase, not an old pillowcase, it's a black pillowcase over the window. Yay! Nope, it's just a mirror. I have three closets in this room. Hey Kendra, good to see you. Good morning. Killed by Bigfoot. Yay. Yeah, I was if you saw me last night, I was like all gothy. I was on I was on a few channels yesterday. I went from Speed of Sound to Gravity, or speed, I guess it's Answers and Atheism now. So was I on there last night? I was on like 2 or 3 channels last night. I was bouncing around. I did moderate a discussion over on Ger's channel between Alpha Centaurian and Leo Felius that went really well. It turns out I'm actually a pretty decent moderator. I was giving people time and watching the timer and everything, and keeping everybody in order. It was a very organized discussion, so I'm sort of happy about the way it went, and I'd like to moderate again soon. Anyway, what I was talking about was you're always gothy and wear colors. Only wear colors to the doctor or court. I'm not always gothy. Sometimes I'm colorful. I have a lot of different aspects of who I am that I like to represent. When I wear the black gothy stuff, I like to do the spiders, black widows, and stuff like that, tarantulas, and then I like colorful stuff, and I'll have butterflies and moths, and I like earthy tones when you do like centipedes and millipedes and all that kind of, and honestly roaches, and everybody thinks that's so gross, but I love roaches. I have some beautiful roaches, and we'll be getting more. All right, so I was talking about going on to these channels and in platforming, I guess, to an extent, these people to present their ideas, because I want the ideas to be out there so we can engage with them. And somebody reached out to me who's always been an ally and has been my friend through my transition and stuff, and had advised that they were getting a lot of flack for platforming these people on their channels and being cordial to them. That's how it works, guys. We don't we don't engage these ideas without saying, hey, I understand you have that by doctrine that you are transphobic, or that you are homophobic, or that you're a misogynist. By doctrine, by the way that you believe in your book, you are this way. But as long as you can engage with me, as long as you don't misgender me and harass me about that stuff, about those aspects of me, and a lot of people can't get past it. Like Jill can't get past that I'm a trans woman, so Jill can't engage with me, but like Otangelo can. Apparently Chris can't, because he's running. Most of the people over on Standing for Truth will engage with me. Obviously Matt Powell won't. So it's a spectrum of people, but the ones that will engage with me and they can be respectful, we need to have those discussions. And if those discussions are about transgenderism, then that's fine. I will talk about that with them. But if we're talking about something else, if we're talking about evolution, if we're talking about cosmology, if we're talking about something along those lines, then I think that I get tired of spending the first 15 to 20 minutes of our discussion trying to explain to them why they should call me she, her to move the conversation forward. They don't have to believe that I'm a woman, but if they want to have a conversation with me about the science, blah, 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 it gets old. But we have to keep trying. they're not going to extend the branch over here. We need to put our branches over there and say, here, this is who we are, and this is what we think, and these are our ideas that we're putting out there. Because otherwise, they're just getting the Fox News straw man version of us, where we're predators, where we're angry and rude and nihilistic and things like that. And I don't want that to be the way that my community is perceived by the right wing, because maybe if they could humanize us a little bit and see us as people that, despite that we're not in their tribe, we're still us, we're still humans. Yeah. So there's another person who does the same thing, Mark Reed. Yes, we need to reach out, and we don't need to people that platform these discussions. I'm talking about Gurr or Nakasuchi or Math Pig, and people on the other side that host these as well. Bright of Life was doing it. I think she's taking a hiatus or quitting for the foreseeable future. But Sal Cordova, I think he has a debate or conversation with Aaron Ra, or debate with Aaron Ra. But we need those platforms to make sure that they know that we're not this clown show version of. I mean, here I do sat with my fluffy thing and my bra, or my bra and all that right now, and my hair all braided and weird. But yeah, I just climb out of bed. So and I'm I'm a normal person, just like you. So let's have a conversation. You want to talk about women's rights? You want to talk about abortion? You want to talk about evolution? You want to talk about cell development? I'm down to talk about it, but we have to be willing to say, I understand that by doctrine, you feel this way about my community. Let's move past it and have the conversation. That's all I wanted to say on that, because someone had reached out to me and said they were getting a lot of flack for bringing those individuals onto their channel. We need the people to bring them onto their channel so that we can engage with them, right? So it's about the audience. It's about the people watching. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you think I look gorgeous. I haven't done anything this morning. I climbed out of bed because I did sleep in my makeup last night because I knew I was gonna take a shower first thing this morning, and I'm and I was up late last night playing with my friends and having some drinks. It was fun. I finished the night with over on Tang Gang. Just Oz always like DJs me off to bed at the end of the night. It's always nice to have that happen. Okay, so I think that's all the housekeeping. So we can move into Cryptic Corner. So I want to apologize for anybody who was expecting Skull and Bone Society stuff this morning on Cryptic Corner. There's a lot more to unpack there than I had time to research. It's not something I know a lot about, but it is something that people some Q people. So when I said this is nonsense, because they were talking about George Bush was a Nazi. George Bush and George W. Bush were Nazis, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. You can't just say that they're Nazis, just because. And they're like, okay, so they're the great grandfather or whatever gave money to the Third Reich. Okay, that doesn't, my grandparents gave money to Wallace's campaign. That doesn't mean I'm a segregationist. Anyhow, so they're like, well, they were in the Skull and Bones Society, so that means that they're Nazis. So I need to. He's a lizard alien hybrid. Duh. Yes, love it. Yes, George Bush is not a Nazi. LOL. He's a lizard alien hybrid. Duh. In my state, Christians are throwing a fit because pagans are having a parade. Like, but wouldn't a Halloween parade and stuff be pagan? Like we've had Halloween parades for years. We've trick or treat. That's an annual event in all the little towns around here. It's kind of funny, but I mean, there's All Saints Day too. I know I'm gonna get what's his name? Who's the history for atheist guy? It's kind of snobby and he's Australian or Tasmanian, maybe. I don't know. I don't get along with him, but he is smart. But anyway, that said, so I was like, okay, I will look into the Skull and Bone societies, see how they're connected to the Bushes and to the Nazis. And if there's something there, I will definitely talk about it. I think there's probably enough in the Skull and Bone societies just to talk about in general. And if there's not, we can expand that to the Masons. I think that would the Masons alone would cover enough to make a full episode. But if I'm going to start getting into secret societies, I might even I need to do like a separate segment on that. I might even do a separate show on that instead of doing it on Cryptic Corner because it's kind of adjacent, but not really. And maybe I could have like co-host on to do something like that. If that's something you would like to see from the Hive, I mean, I'm interested in secret societies and that kind of stuff, and cults, like ancient cults especially, or ancient cults are always interesting in their practices and stuff. So if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, I may do a different show on a different day of the week and start doing that, another live show. This is the only live show I have right now. As I've said before, I'm going to get back into doing the segmented where we'll have Cryptic Corner on Friday nights and Creation Watch on Wednesdays, all those little 10 to 30-minute segments that I do on live from the Hive, and we'll start releasing those through the week. So if you missed the whole show and you don't have to watch the whole thing and it's 3-hour entirety, you can watch whatever segment you enjoy the most first even. So that said, I did not do secret societies for Cryptic Corner today, so I'm sorry about that, but I do have something that's equally as interesting. And if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, if you're if you're a fan of Ring of Power, even, because that's what brought the imagery back to my mind to say, hey, this is something I still haven't talked about yet. So in Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, and it's in the Ring of Power, the little flashbacks that they have with you can see. And there's implications that the elves went to the east to make war on Morgoth because of the trees, which is not canon. There's more to it than that. The trees were involved, but there's a lot more to it than that. Read the Silmarillion if you haven't. The Silmarillion was, through my late teen years, it was like, oh my god, this is the most wondrous book I've ever read. A lot of people it's too heavy for. For me, it was perfect. I loved the way that Tolkien narrates it. It's almost read like almost like the Bible, written almost like the Bible. So no, Mark Reed, I'm not giving any spoilers. Because I've only watched the first episode, because once I watched the first episode and decided that it was something I was going to enjoy watching, I'm waiting for the whole series to be, or the whole season to be out, and I'm going to binge it all at once. And I may do that like this too. I mean, not in here, but like in my Discord, I might do like a viewing with some friends or something. So we may look forward to that in the Discord. But I'm not giving any spoilers, Mark. This is a 80-year-old book that I'm talking about. So this, because I'm more talking about the book than the movie. So just to be, or than the show, just to be clear. So in the book, the tree, and I did say it gets more complicated. I hope that's filled in and not in a bad way on the series, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, but the trees are the important thing I'm talking about here. So in the story, within the narrative, there was in the beginning there was Iluvatar, the one. I'm going to. So he's like the supreme god, and he made these lesser gods, the Valar, who are they're gods, angels, they're elemental gods, and they created the world. So one of them created these trees, these two big trees to light the world. One of them was silver and one of them was gold, and they lit the world. And that's where a lot of the light comes from in the world today. Is all the light was or not all the light. Well, maybe it was all the light. It was it's not Yavanna. Yavanna is the plant god. Who's the star god? Damn it, or goddess. Anyway, so she made the trees. Yavanna made the trees, and then Elbereth put the light into them. She's like the star goddess. She's in a lot of, you hear her name come up a lot in Lord of the Rings too when they're talking Elvish. Yeah, Telperion was the golden tree, and what was the silver tree was like mirror. The tree of Gondor was actually a descendant from a tree that was cultivated to resemble the silver tree. But anyway, I'm getting too much into the weeds and the Lord of the Rings stuff. So let me get back to the point. So giant magical trees, okay, that were killed as part of the mythology. Now, that's not unique to Lord of the Rings. Tolkien actually pulls that from other mythologies. These giant trees. There's the world tree, of course, in a lot of the Northern European pagan traditions, including Scandinavians, Germanic, and even Pict people and the native Britons. They had imagery of world trees. There were, of course, real monstrous trees, in certain areas of the world that people would look at and say, hey, what if it was even bigger than this, when they'd see a giant oak or something along those lines. So there's a lot of mythology involving giant trees. And that's not limited to pagan or more tribal societies. There's giant trees in Abrahamic mythology too. Daniel 4. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I want to introduce you guys to biblical avatar trees, heartstones. And this is a channel called Stellium 7. He has almost 20,000 subscribers. And let's hear what he has to say about giant trees and all this good stuff. He's on StreamYard here, just like me. So let's give it a go. Let me know if you can hear me too, or if you can hear the video.
Go ahead, if you can hear my voice. Is that a no? Yes?
Okay.
Oh, what in the heck?
I have the same problems, guy. It's okay.
Screen share. Oh, here we go. I found it. Share button. Share screen. Now we got it. Sorry, folks. Okay, wow. Everything good go here? Everything good. Just give me a thumbs up and I will start. Thumbs up. Okay, all right, here we go. So this is just going to be a quick one today because I've got to go out and have lunch with some awesome dudes. But I got a message today from somebody mentioning that Hangman1128 had mentioned me in one of his videos, and I just wanted to talk about that and a few other things, and I was going to put everything into an editor and create a video, and then I realized that I could just go live, so I'll get better at this, I promise. Anyway, if you're not familiar with Hangman1128's channel, it's essential. He's done easily as much work as I have on the mountain and the heartstones on the avatar trees or the biblical trees, and it's just amazing footage. So if you haven't been to that channel, go to it. He's got hundreds of hours of footage, and to me, it's just undeniable. He's got so many examples of all scale of these trees that were miles wide and who knows how tall. And he shows all the different ways in which they break down, they decompose, and the sap and how the sap petrifies in different ways. And I've been watching him.
So we're going to go look at this hangman guy in just a minute, but let's hear what he has to say about him. Now, literally look at the trees, but they look at rocks, sedimentary rocks sticking out of the soil and things like that, and they use their best pareidolia that they can muster to try to make an image or an animal out of it here.
For quite a while, and I've given him some shout outs in the past, and I've talked about him in a number of interviews because I feel that his information dovetails perfectly with mine. And he hasn't, I know he's watched some of my videos and he sent me some messages a couple of years ago, but we haven't had any communication since then. But the thing about his stuff is that all of the stones that he's showing don't look anything like the stones in this region. And that's what some are saying Moltke was a melted building, others are like, no, it's a giant tree. I'm like, it's not a tree, it's not a building, it's the stuff I've been showing, and you can watch the videos to see the evidence when it comes to that. But I'm going to play this in a second. Hopefully you can hear the audio. That's awesome.
He's
let me know if you hear
preambling, so.
These are fossils. This is from hatch volcanic activity that. So I was just going to show a real quick video of his, well, part of it. Were you able to hear the audio on that video there, Clay? This is his channel.
Yeah, I'm having audio stuff too, but let's move
Just a
it
short
along.
little video that he made, but I mean, sometimes things look like big chunk of this just fell off. See if I can rain.
Come on.
This is the way the fibers are right here. See? Hold on a second. Sorry, not showing the screen. You see, it's not the wood.
Okay, so.
I'll show you a little more. Okay. See here.
All right. So we have sedimentary layers. While this is laid up on the side like that, it does. And when you turn those I don't know what's the word for it, rivulets or whatever, when it's from water flowing over sediment, but when you turn it on and when you break it off and look at it long ways, it's going to look like tree rings. So this is definitely sediment, though. I mean, this is sedimentary rock. Even the way it's layered like that is very clearly sediment, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a geologist, but I do know a lot of geologists who spend time looking at stuff like this and explaining what we're seeing. So
this whole mountain, 100-mile radius, right over here. So this stone that he's showing, I don't find anything like this anywhere around here.
And it also gives it this tree-like appearance because of the moss growing on it, which grows on it. And it looks like it gives it a kind of a stump-like appearance and really punctuates the grooves and everything on it.
See, this looks just like a fresh chunk of wood. We'll build a piece off of there. This is what we see. This is the wood. Yeah, that's just got the moss on it. And all this here, all the way back up to here. I'll show you that in a second. Come right here. You see.
Now, I see how you could infer that this looks like wood. But it's, again, pareidolia. We look for familiar patterns and things. We like to say, hey, wood has these rings and grooves in it, this grain. The sedimentary rock has grain in it. It looks like grain. I think for the most part, it looks to me like it was cut by ancient waters, but I will be corrected on that. I'm absolutely willing to be corrected on that.
Well, piece off here. This is wood. Tell me that isn't wood. You know, sometimes things are what they look like, right? And right over here. See?
Sometimes they are what they look like, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes that things look like something that they're not. Sometimes there's, again, we're pattern-seeking primates. We look for things that are familiar to us in any environment. And sometimes we will infer wrongly that something is familiar because of physical characteristics that match up with something we're familiar with, but what we're actually looking at is something completely different. Like in this case, when we look at sedimentary stone that has been weathered over millions of years on a hillside, compared to lumber freshly chopped from a tree.
The examples that he has are just what we see. Countless and undeniable, in my opinion. So
the moss is cool, Tobin. I agree. I absolutely agree. And Godless Granny, if you're taking off, you have a good morning. Okay. Let's see here. We had somebody was saying something about my top. Yeah, I'm kind of cold too, so that's why I got this on. Hello, Reverb Twang.
Well, it's better to watch that on his channel because he's got a pretty good camera. Actually, that was live, but he's got another camera that he uses where he zooms in from great distances and can show you these structures in megalithic scale and then down to the smaller size that you're looking at there. And he compares it to trees and shows how they're all.
It's funny because he uses the same screen share layout I do, so my picture is like literally right over him in the corner here. He's down here in the corner too.
Goes and breaking down, and it is identical. So the thing that I wanted to show here, in this video, he's going through a whole bunch of different examples that are in his yard that he's gathered, showing all the different ways in which the tree and the bark can be, and the sap and how it petrifies. And then he's got this one piece that he's not certain about, and I'll just play that. Here, aren't you petrified turtles? Oh, anyone? Gus, if you're watching, those look like turtles to me.
Petrified turtles, he says. Oh goodness.
Okay, this used to be a petrified turtle. it used to be a turtle, petrified. Okay.
Under what circumstances did that used to be a turtle? What part of the turtle was that? Is that a whole turtle? Is that like a weird shaped turtle? What are we talking about? Did that look like a turtle to you guys? I mean, it looks like this, like similar to the scutes and stuff on turtles' legs. Maybe is that the inference that it's a turtle's leg? Because there would be bone. There would be a bone. Turtles aren't like they have internal skeletons too. I know they have the shell with the exoskeleton, or and that they have scutes on them, but they have an internal skeletal structure too. So you wouldn't just find. Maybe there's clarification here.
But I want you to understand that when I tell you everything on the periodic table originated from the trees, it didn't come from magma from the core of the earth or the crust. I'm telling you, it's a lie. So whatever. But that truth, that's up to you. And this is a piece that's totally out of my league or my.
So just to clarify, because these people are flat earthers and don't believe in space and stuff like that, they have to have an origin for the elements. And I believe the claim being made here is that these massive trees of the ancient past are the source of all the elements of the periodic table. I believe that's what I just understood of what he was saying. But we'll see.
I do with the trees, but I found this by the Fountain River in Colorado Springs, Colorado. There's a whole bunch of this down there, but this here to me, it looks like it's biological, but it's not part of the tree remain. It looks like it's part of something that was.
It's what we call inclusions. What we're looking at here, you have the more yellow colored stone is sedimentary rock. I'm not going to speculate on what the other kind of rock is. I'm not a geologist. I don't know all the. I do know the three main types of stone we have in our environment, but I'm not sure what kind this the gray rock is. But the yellow rock is definitely a sedimentary rock, and I would say that the gray rock is older than the yellow rock if they're both sediments. But the gray looks like it's inclusions within the yellow sediment. Just my opinion here. The keratin in a tortoise's shell. I don't know if that would, because we have Pleistocene tortoise shells. I think they're subfossil because they're really dense. I don't know if we have any fossilized turtle shells. We have fossilized turtle bones, but I don't think the shell's been included in any of them really. I'd love to be corrected and see some cool fossilized turtle shells, but every fossilized turtle I've ever seen, it's just the ribs that give us the indication of where the shell was. Because it's not bone. Well, I mean it's scutes, which are they're basically bone. It's calcified protrusions from the body for protection. So you get scutes with keratin armor on it, with keratin, which is the same kind of stuff your fingernails are made from, same kind of stuff that rhino's horns made from, but the tortoise's shell, the turtle shell, well, some turtle shell, some of them it doesn't. The shells are softer. Of course, you get soft shell turtles, but I digress. The bone should definitely preserve. I don't know about the keratin. I would assume that it does. It at least has a certain shelf life. How long it would last. I'm shamefully not sure how long keratin lasts in the fossil record and how far back it can go.
I don't know what it could have been, but I believe it's part of the tree. And I wanted to show this to Mike from Stellium 7. What you see here, these are like membranes, like, and in the blood or whatever crystallized. Okay, you got the crystal, that's just where with the sap and probably blood did. Okay?
Oh yeah, getting closer to it, it does kind of look like.
Right. This is the first thing.
Getting closer to it, it does look like kind of like quartz in there. So you might be right. I think somebody Sandy said looks like smoky quartz, and what I was calling sediment early. Now that he gets closer and I see that it's more crystalline structures, I'll accept that.
shown that looks like anything that I found here, but this is an absolutely beautiful specimen. So I believe this is bone, and just like he's saying, this is a membrane. That's the blood vessel wall, and then what we have in here is all of the petrified blood.
Now, none of that's true, but yeah.
Plasma and the red blood cells. So the more
Plasma.
red blood cells you have, the darker, it can be almost like iron color red, or it can be yellow and fatty looking, or it can be even clear and white. It all depends on how many of the red blood cells.
So the quartz, what the contents of the quartz is, it was what designates the color. But the what about the quartz that have? What about if it has purple or blue?
Cells are there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, so I just wanted to introduce people to his channel and let him know that I'm totally on board with his findings, and I think they dovetail perfectly with mine. And mine are distinct from what he's showing. So you take those and put them together, and you've got a whole lot of extremely compelling evidence in support of this idea that there were titanic creatures once upon a time in the world. So I want to talk about another channel. This is Mudfled was Armageddon. I hope somebody subscribes quick because he's at 911 subscribers. But I don't think there's been anybody who's really been as excited about.
Oh, they're networking.
Alan has since it started. He's been streaming for years. If you want daily brain splats, go to his channel.
They're doing hearts, which is a different.
I don't agree with a lot of things he says, but I agree with a whole lot of other things that he says. And he's got lots of interesting ideas.
We're going to skip the.
I know you've gone through it.
I'm going to skip the heartstone stuff because this is about today. We're talking about trees. So the rest of this video is about heartstones, but this guy has a plethora of videos about these topics. Oh my gosh, he's live right now with 101 people watching. Oh goodness. I'm like, oh, all this guy is talking about is pareidolia. He's actually, let's talk about pareidolia. Dare I click on it and poke my nose in? Do you want to see what they're saying over there? Hold on. Let's look at some more of his videos real quick. I hadn't planned on doing any live engagement, but he has this mountain range that he's obsessed with that he thinks looks like an elephant. Like it's his whole, like not his whole channel, but it's like a lot of his videos are about this giant elephant that he thinks exists. This one. He puts fake tusk on it in the thumbnails to try to sell it. But yeah, this is why would someone who thinks that this is actually the remains of an elephant be off put by people calling it pareidolia? Oh my gosh, we need to explore that more too. So we will revisit this guy's giant elephant at some point because I am definitely interested in that. I'm going to pop in here just for a second and see what they're saying, okay?
Century ago. And I remember that time good. Girolamo Segato. And he did all kinds of gruesome things with flesh, turning into stone. And there was another guy named, I think it was Giordano Bruni, also an Italian. You can find examples of petrified brain, petrified everything. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. These are still found in museums to this day. This is a cerebellum. This is a hand. So just because we don't know what they did before doesn't mean they couldn't do it before. And I really wish that people weren't attacking Ewar because, maybe he is a shit. Billy.
So I see mummified stuff here, not petrified. Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff we're going to come to expect.
Yeah. He just absolutely loved the Ewar stuff. And it was great because Ewar did what nobody else had done. He gathered in all of these different research threads and put it together in a really aesthetically appealing theatrical fashion.
All right, so that's I'm not going to sit here and watch him live ranting. So I'm going to do. All right, we're going to move to another channel here, and these guys this is more giant tree remains. So brace yourselves, children. Giant trees. See how these are trees, not mountains at all. Tree and mesas, definitely. Oh, goodness. And the giants from Hyperborea. Oh, now we're going to get some giants too. These are supposed to be actual organisms, like animals. Despite the physiological constraints of organism biology that says that this is not a creature that ever existed as an organism. Oh, we found a face in the rocks. All right. Whoa. Okay. Let's get into it now. Come on. So these are biblical tree remains. Biblical. My estradiol patch keeps coming loose. I don't know what the deal is. I lost my first one. This is the audio version of Glitter, right? And I was like, so these are supposed to be remains of biblical trees. And when I say biblical trees, they're talking about, I guess the notion is that before the flood, that there were giant trees and all the animals were giants in these guys' worldview. I think they still adhere to like we're under a dome and stuff like that. What makes them biblical? Let's find out. I'm turning the music down a little bit. It's a little bit much. If you can still hear me. Well, petrified wood is a real thing killed by Bigfoot. I mean, we have petrified forests. There are when they talk about polystrate trees, which Kent Hovind likes to talk about. Those are that's petrified plant material. Trees. When you talk about trees, so to clarify, a tree is not it's not an organism group. It's not a clade. A tree is not a clade. There are clades of trees, but trees themselves are a ecological niche. It's like being a carnivore or a herbivore in the environment, or a browser versus a grazer, or a ambush predator versus a pack hunter. A tree is an ecological niche that an organism is filling, and that will be filled by other plant or fungus groups if the niche opens up, because there has been in the past where we had fungus there for a while that kind of filled that niche. I mean, they weren't towering or anything, but there was huge fungus in the early Paleocene. That was the first forest that we had on this planet, and then there were like club mosses and things like that kind of took over. So plants moved into that niche, and they filled the role of trees. These club mosses did for most of the Paleocene. We didn't really get angiosperms until much later. At least not angiosperms as we would consider what we consider them today. The flowering plants and things like that. That came later towards the later half of the Mesozoic. And grasses and things came with that too. So there weren't any grasses. There definitely weren't any hardwood trees, or what we would consider hardwood trees in the early Paleozoic. I want to say that vascular plants really started coming into their own more in the Triassic. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the wood grain that they're seeing in these mountainsides and things like that would not be the wood grain that you would see in these Paleozoic plants, but what you see in our modern angiosperm plants, and with the growth rings and the way that the grain is on them. They're comparing it to modern angiosperms. Anyway, so yes, there are petrified angiosperms too, but I don't think that that stuff you had on the table back there, that might have been, this might actually be petrified wood. I'm not disputing that. It kind of, this piece in the lower middle really does look like a piece of the pieces of petrified wood I've seen in museums and things. So this is definitely not out of the question for what we're looking at here to be petrified wood. But yeah, as far as these hills and things, I don't think so. I don't think this is wood in any way, shape, or form. I think that could be. I don't think these hillsides with the moss growing on them and such, I think it's pareidolia to assume that this is the remains of a giant fallen tree that petrified. It just doesn't check out. This is I mean, I'm welcome to be corrected, but I don't see the designated markers of petrified wood here. The growth ring thing is basically what they're going off of. Tree rings, Mount Doom. It all makes sense now. Yeah, you got to go throw the ring into Mount Doom.
I'll give you an overview of this one last time. That is so massive. It goes all the way up to the treetops there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's cool places like that down in the Ozarks too. Basically, the Ozarks are they were really big mountains that kind of got ground down, but they have these really ancient bones sticking out of the earth. And I say bones facetiously because of these folks, but there's this huge. I don't know what period they were from. I want to say they're Proterozoic rock down there. Really, really old stuff, way, way older than life on the planet. So to say that they're trees is kind of bizarre. I do like this music he's got going on, though. That's not a tree. Ah! That's not a tree. It looks like wood, but I took it for granted. You guys with your rock puns, awesome. Keep them coming. Be a little bolder with them.
There's got to be somebody else who knows what this is.
I am assuming it's the same kind of, assuming again, based on the appearance, that it looks very similar to what we have down in the Ozarks, that it's some very, very old rock. And this may be a region that was part of an ancient mountain range. Maybe you're in Appalachia, because Appalachia would have the similar. Appalachia and the Ozarks were these two huge mountain ranges for most of history. So yeah, maybe that's what we're looking at. Old mountains ground down by glaciation and other geological events.
Who knows?
Let's look at
Here, these, hold on.
That's pretty cool.
Like these here. Okay, you see that? Okay.
Oh, so that was just a rotten wood. Oh, honey. Focus.
See that? That's what you're looking at right there.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Well, while we're here, I want to show you this.
So the fun part about this is that, because he's like, oh, on this micro scale, it falls apart and decomposes like that. Even the difference between how a big tree now, like a massive like redwood tree or something, would decompose compared to something like, a maple tree in your yard would decompose, or you're going to see it's going to be different. Gravity is going to have a different effect on the way that they fall. Something that big would made out of the same density of material, would shatter a lot more than what we'd see with normal sized trees. He's talking about trees that allegedly reached, all the way up into the atmosphere, right? This is not going to have the same physics acting upon it as just a tree falling in the forest. It's not, when it hits the ground, it's not gonna look the same as what your little tree that fell over when you were cutting wood. He's got his dog with him though. His dog's awful cute. He's a good boy.
Okay, you see more of the tree inside. Imagine that laid on its side, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, let me see if I can get this out of here without breaking it. And then
He's teaching us now how to identify giant fallen trees. So pay attention, guys.
you got all the gaps. Okay?
Cracks. If there's cracks in the rocks, it's probably a tree.
Between all the pieces like I've shown.
Mm-hmm.
Some are smaller than others, some are very far. Okay? This is how it
So
happens.
cracks that are close together and cracks that are far apart are all signs that it's a tree.
See the gaps.
Some of the gaps are big and some of the gaps are small. So if there's big cracks or small cracks close together, far apart, it's probably a tree. There's a big crack, must be a tree.
And then here laying on the ground, that's part of it. That's right in here.
Mm-hmm.
This is all you're seeing. And then you see how this is the exact same thing of everything we've been.
It's the exact same. Exactly the same. I mean, it might as well just be the same thing. We might as well just accept that these are giant trees that fall down all over the place, right? And they have cracks in them. How could they have cracks in them if they're not trees?
Walking through. Okay? You see all the gaps between everything.
There's those gaps. If there's gaps in the rock between two rocks, if there's gaps in it, it must be a tree.
And then when it's tall enough, they get washed away. They fall away.
Hmm.
And then this piece here, like this, is what we see right there. It's just from a much larger thing.
So the way that the trees decay like that, there's a lot of decomposition that's happening in a very specific way for the fibers that make up the body of the tree, right? The way that the fungus reach their mycelium into the trees, the way that other organisms such as beetles might burrow into them as well, to cause the decomposing layout that you see on the ground of the forest floor where all the branches are. Now, even giant trees, no matter how big they are, the mycelium is still going to impact them and break them down the same way. So even if the trees were massive like that, if the same forces were acting upon those trees that are acting upon the trees, the forest floor that he's looking at right now, the cracks and breaks in the way it decomposed would be the same size. It would not be a inflated giant version of that breakdown. It would still break down at the same scale because the same organisms would be breaking it down.
Trees. The living that's behind us. All that right there is the same as that right there, looking down on it.
But it's again, you're saying it's scaled up. So it's scaled up from the regular tree size, but the forces acting upon the wood to break it down are going to be the same. So it wouldn't break up into just a giant version of those. It would still be a small version of those with just more of it. Because again, the fungus and mosses and insects and grubs and microorganisms that are decomposing that wood are still going to have the same effect on it. They're not going to have a scaled up effect. This is so silly.
species out.
Jason, you're not wrong, because all photosynthesizing plants would be descendant from mosses. So by law of monophyly, all plants are mosses. You could make that argument if you're going to go full monophyly on it, but I think moss is a polyphyletic term for a specific group within plants.
Okay. And you see the rings, and they start deteriorating. Some get filled in, and some split apart.
Mm-hmm.
You see all the random edges.
Right.
Okay, this is what happens. All these little pieces.
Because of the way the environment breaks them down, including laws of physics that you can't ignore. The physics are not going to cause the same results that you're seeing on this micro scale on a macro scale. They're just not. And then again, the organisms that break down the rotting is not something that just happens naturally. You have microorganisms that break that stuff down, and they're going to break stuff down in a very specific way. Again, that's not just going to scale up based on the size of a tree.
This is laid down. But the upright part right here is still remaining. Okay.
It's crazy because you can actually see the fungus on that tree breaking it down, and that's why it's breaking it down the way it is. And as Ring pointed out in the side chat there, a lot of this is done by ants too, ants and termites. When you see something breaking down like that, there's usually swarms of different insects that are making that their home and working to decompose that and cause the features that you see that are so distinct that are not going to be reflected on a giant scale unless he's claiming that there were giant ants breaking this down before it petrified.
That's it right there. Just part of it. That right there is the upright part still remaining. Okay?
Oh gosh.
Look at this. This is all the way up here. And all this is gone.
I think part of the problem is that the way that sediment is laid down and then shifted and broke up with tectonic activity to give us different rocks pointing different directions and things like that that causes this. Oh, it must be a tree, pareidolia. I don't know how much longer I'm going to sit through this guy just pointing at rocks and saying, look, it's a tree, it's a tree. Got anything more than just saying it looks like something?
And then it's
okay. So we're gonna read this verse that he cites down here, because Daniel 4:1-36, Nebuchadnezzar's dream of giant trees. I actually have it pulled up right here. I'm not probably going to read the whole thing. I'll probably read through 16 because that's the relevant part. But this is just the last thing I wanted to go over here, because this is the citations for biblical trees. I believe this is the single and only citation of giant trees in the Bible, unless you want to include the trees in the garden as a proposed giant, because I don't think that they're presented that way, because most fruit trees are on a smaller scale, hence why they're fruit trees. Not to say all of them, but anyway. Nebuchadnezzar's dream of a tree. King Nebuchadnezzar, to the nation and people of every language who live in all the earth, may you prosper greatly. It is my pleasure to tell you about the miraculous signs, the wonders that the Most High God has performed for me. How great are his signs, how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an eternal kingdom. His domain endures from generation to generation, but not them giant trees, though. Okay. Nebuchadnezzar was at home in Nebuchadnezzar was at home in my palace, contented, and prosperous. I had a dream that made me afraid. As I was lying in bed, the images and visions that passed through my mind terrified me. So I commanded that all the wise men of Babylon be brought before me to interpret the dream for me. When the magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and diviners came, I told them of the dream, but they could not interpret it for me. Finally, Daniel came into my presence, and I told him the dream. He is called, I'm going to try this word, Belteshazzar, after the name of my God, and the spirit of the holy God is in him. I said, Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, I know that the spirit of the holy God is in you, and no mystery is too difficult for you. Here's my dream. Interpret it for me. These are the visions I saw while lying in bed. I looked, and there before me stood a tree in the middle of the land. Its height was enormous. The tree grew large and strong, and its top touched the sky. It was visible to the ends of the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, its fruit abundant, and on it was food for all. Under it, the wild animals found shelter, and the birds lived in its branches. From it, every creature was fed. I'll be right back 1 second. When's the wedding? I mean, Grandma, 3:15. We're going to Grandma's at 3:15.
Straight after Grandma. Okay, we need to still go give him a gift. And I need to figure out what I'm wearing.
Sorry about that. Parent duty calls. Where was I? Oh, all creatures were fed from it. In the vision I saw while lying in bed, I looked, and there before me was a holy one, a messenger coming down from heaven. He called in a loud voice, cut down the tree and trim off its branches, strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the animals flee from under it and the birds from its branches, but let the stump and its roots bound with iron and bronze remain in the ground, in the grass of the field. Let him be drenched in the dew of heaven, and let him live with the animals among the plants of the earth. Let his mind be changed from that of a man, and let him be given the mind like an animal, till 7 times passes by for him. The decision is announced by messengers. The holy ones declare the verdict, so that the living may know that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth, and gives them to anyone he wishes, and sets over them the lowliest of people. This is the dream that I, King Nebuchadnezzar, had. Now, Belteshazzar, tell me what it means, and for none of the wise men in my kingdom can interpret it for me, but you can, because the spirit of the holy gods is in you. And so I think that this is where our giant tree conspiracist stopped reading Daniel, because Daniel's interpretation of the dream does not include any physical giant tree. Daniel goes on to explain that this vision is metaphoric. Then Daniel, also called Belteshazzar, was greatly perplexed for a time, and his thoughts terrified him. So the king said, Belteshazzar, do not let the dream or its meaning alarm you. Belteshazzar answered, my lord, if only the dream applied to your enemy and its meaning to your adversaries. The tree you saw, which grew large and strong, with its top touching the sky, visible to the whole earth, with beautiful leaves and abundant fruit, providing food for all, giving shelter to the wild animals, and having nesting places in the branches for all the birds, blah, blah, blah. Your Majesty, you are that tree. You have become great and strong. Your greatness has grown until it reached the sky, and your dominion extends to the distant parts of the earth. Your Majesty saw a holy one, a messenger, coming down from heaven, saying, "Cut down the tree and destroy it, but leave the stump bound with iron and bronze in the grass of the field, with its roots remaining in the ground. Let him be drenched in the dew of heaven. Let him live with the wild animals until 7 times pass by for him." This is the interpretation, Your Majesty, and this is the decree the Most High has issued against my lord the king. You will be driven away from people and will live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like an ox and be drenched in the dew of heaven. 7 times will pass by for you until you acknowledge that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth and gives them to anyone he wishes. The command to leave the stump of the tree with its roots means that your kingdom will be restored to you when you acknowledge that heaven rules. Heaven rules, y'all. Therefore, Your Majesty, be pleased to accept my advice. Renounce your sin by doing what is right, and your wickedness by being kind to the oppressed. It may be that then your prosperity will continue. So this is the curse on Nebuchadnezzar. So, and this pops up in a lot of like werewolf mythology too, that werewolves are descendant from Nebuchadnezzar, etc., because of this curse that he bore and carried down through his bloodline to live like a wild animal in the woods. But when they do that, they often ignore the eating grass like an ox, which a human cannot do. So Nebuchadnezzar would not have been able to sustain himself by eating grass like an ox. It would have killed him, and sleeping in the dew under the heavens. So it's a metaphoric tree that they're talking about here. And within the text itself, it's saying that, hey, this wasn't like a real tree. This was a metaphoric dream tree. And you are the tree. So our dude definitely misunderstood that. Anyhow, I think that wraps up Cryptic Corner. We did look at some giant trees. I was not convinced. I don't know if anybody in my audience is now a giant pre-Diluvian tree believer, but I'm not, and I didn't find anything that was presented here compelling. But we're moving right along because we got something else fun to go over. And it's going to be a little bit demonic, which is why I have my demonic thumbnail. So I did see I've lost a few viewers. Hopefully some people come back for this demon topic. I know the trees got a little redundant there towards the end. But let us have a look at an ex-witch. Her name's Jenny Weaver. And I'm going to pull up her channel real quick, and then we're going to look at a video of hers. Okay, so she is she's like a evangelical person. She makes videos about, let's see, we got video titles, give you kind of an idea of where she is. Do you need deliverance? Cast out the devil ASAP. Be on my official deliverance team. Restore Naomi and redeem truth. Bloodline breakers, stories of Jesus. So gives you kind of an idea what she's putting out there. She dabbled in Wicca when she was a teenager, and she talks a great deal about that. And we are going to look into that because it's kind of wild to see someone go from practicing witchcraft. And she's got a little interview she did on this channel here about her. About her time as a witch. But I don't know if we're going to go into that or not. I do want to review her video of demonic items to get rid of, part 1. So these are items in our own homes. Items in our own home that are actually demonic and that we might use them every day. And the devil's in them. And we need to quit. So Jenny's going to she's going to break that down for us. Take it away, Jenny.
Of things that do not need to be in your home. And in all honesty, this is my generalized list. Today, I am going to be talking about how to clean house. It is time for us to get all of the open doors to the devil out of our house. So I'm going to talk about Harry Potter books. I'm going to talk about tarot cards and Ouija boards and sage and all the...
I do have Harry Potter books. I don't have tarot cards anymore. I have had in the past. I did have a Ouija board. I think it's still at my old house, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So far, I'm feeling pretty demonic here up in my own home.
Time. We're going to cover. I have such a long list, and we're going to cover everything that is on my list, and then some. We're going to go through the house. We're going to go through so many things. You may actually have an attack that you're going through or a struggle, and you're like, I'm submitted to God, I'm praying, like, what is going on? Why can't this thing break? You might just have an open door in your house. I have...
So you got past up that emotion? Did you think maybe it was because you have that demonic rabbit foot on your keychain? Good grief.
An entire list of things that do not need to be in your home. And in all honesty, this is my generalized list. My notes. Hidden things. Things that you may not want anybody to know about. We're going to talk about all of those things.
You're talking about, pornography. You're talking about our porn.
Pornography. I'm going to talk about the books. Yes, I'm going to talk about those love books.
She's talking about romance novels.
Some of you ladies have in your house. Where it looks like Fabio is on the cover, rescuing some lady on a horse, and you look through the book, and it's nothing but filth and trash. And that's how the spirit of lust can come on, and he's like, that belongs to me. Those words, I inspired those words. This is how demons talk. They know that that's their item.
Wait, but God.
They can come on.
So lust is just a biological driver to reproduce. It's good for our species, for us to have lust, and for us to, it's very important for us to propagate. So if you want to continue the human species, we don't want to get rid of lust. So go ahead and keep your horny books, keep your libido up and maintained, keep your porn, because having a sex drive is very important to any species in order to thrive.
Now, when you start getting rid of things today, I urge you to do it as soon as possible. Don't wait. Do not wait. And yes, you are qualified because the blood of Jesus qualifies you to get rid of it. When you're getting rid of these things, can I just tell you this? Because I know some of you are going to ask me. You're living with a husband or a wife or maybe even a roommate, an adult, and they have some of these items that I'm going to cover. You guys, you'll bring a lot of strife into your home if you just start throwing people's stuff away. Now, I know you want to do it, and I'm with you. I'm like, can we just...
I agree. Do not start throwing away other people's in your house's stuff because you think it's demonic. That's not going to go over well for anybody. Do not throw away your roommate's Ouija board. Do not throw away their crystals or whatever. Don't be a dick. Demons aren't real, so don't worry about that. Well, I mean, I've tried for years to find evidence of demons, and I haven't. So I should say evidently demons aren't real. So I don't think you need to worry about your neighbor doing tarot or whatever. You don't have to get rid of that stuff.
Throw everybody's stuff out. But you need to be very wise. That's why I ask the Lord for the spirit of wisdom. Ask the Holy Ghost to guide you. Say, God, I'm praying for the gift of discerning of spirits that I can know what spirit is behind the thing. If you're ready, say, I'm ready. Here is my list.
I'm ready.
Cursed items.
Orgay, I see you in the chat out there. You better have your paper and pen down because this list is super important. And this is just part 1. So I need to get everybody to be writing their list down of all the stuff that they're going to get rid of.
These are basically things that will be open doors for demons, whether you believe it or not.
Open doors, guys. If you want demons, this is how you get them. If you're like, you know what? I could use some demons in my home to, I don't know, maybe you want to just have them moving stuff around. Maybe you want them to try to utilize their power to do laundry or dishes or things like that, menial household chores. If you think you can contain them, this list is going to tell you how to get them here. There may be some grimoires out there to learn how to control them once you have them in your home. Once you're able to once you have them, you can direct them towards tasks and things like that. So we will see.
They are. I've seen it firsthand with almost everything on here. Let me go ahead and just start with demonic movies. Demonic movies mean horror movies.
I love horror movies. That is one thing that I am not getting rid of. We have a horror movie themed entryway to our home because my son is also super into horror movies and he's super into masks. So we have like Frankenstein and Michael Myers and all the horror characters waiting for us right there in the entryway to our apartment.
Horrific scenes, vulgar things. Guys, remember your eye gate, your ear gate. The Bible says your eye is full of light, your whole body will be full of light. Your eye is in darkness, the whole body is full of darkness. Your eye is a gateway to your spirit and your soul. I've talked about this before. They call it entertainment. What is the first part of the word? Enter. Be careful about
Enter. You don't want to enter into your eye. You don't want to let horror movies enter into your eye and enter into your ears because demons live in horror movies, I guess. Can we elaborate on how and why and what kind of demons they are?
these demonic movies, movies that have lust in it, movies that have witchcraft in it, and sorcery.
She in that interview that she does, that other one I popped up, she goes on and on about the movie The Craft that she was part of, that she was into when she was a teenager, and I guess that's, when she was in high school or whatever, that was a path that she went down. I did too. She's about my age, so we went through probably the same kind of stuff, dabbling in the new age scene as teenagers, and the Craft was a big part of that. I watched that movie a lot, and me and my gothy friends, we did dabble in that. So I didn't have any demons though. My problem was that it all turned out to be, at least in my experience, it was all, there was nothing there. It was like psychodrama and the power of positive thinking kind of stuff. So anyway.
You know what movies are okay to watch and what movies are not okay to watch. I wouldn't sit around watching The Craft. I wouldn't sit around watching, what is the movies with The Nun? It was a horrific.
It's funny because the Conjuring series that she's talking about with The Nun and Annabelle and all that, those are evangelicals that the movies are about. It's about the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, and their crusade against the devil. So it's actually about people doing what you're saying to do and going and purging their homes of these demonic items. So it's kind of funny that you're like, don't watch this movie when the movie is probably the closest thing that to taking your views about demons seriously and presenting it as a serious threat. So it's just super weird that you're like, hey, don't watch this movie, even though the movie and you are giving the same message.
I don't even know the names of the stuff. I do not watch horrific movies. I don't watch scary stuff. even when it comes to like extreme violence, I don't let that into my spirit. It bothers me.
Well, I mean, I like choreography and practical effects, so I will continue to watch violent movies and horror movies and stuff because it's cathartic.
Bothers me a lot. I'm even careful of what things I click on when I'm on YouTube, when I'm going through social media. I remember one time I watched something and it got to me. It really did. It actually, I had fear, the spirit of fear that came into the house. And I actually watched a woman, this was a real life video on Facebook. They kept sharing it. I said, let me see what's going on. I was so curious. I said, let me watch it. And it was a woman who was completely drugged out of her mind. And she had her infant in the room with her. Somebody was filming this. And she was picking up the infant child and she was slamming the infant down because she was completely out of her mind. Her clothes were gone. And when I saw that, I actually got up and ran to my husband. And I was so shaken. I said, oh, I just saw the most horrific thing. I couldn't even sleep. Be careful what you let in your spirit.
Right. It sounds like maybe you need to prune your circle of friends if that's your friends are sharing with you these, because this is like, that sounds like faces of death kind of entertainment that I don't know if anybody remembers those. I have some older people in my audience that might remember that Faces of Death video series that came out where they had it was just video clips of stuff like that. They used to have it in the back section of the video stores, and kids couldn't rent them, and they teenagers would rent them and watch them in hordes. It was gruesome, but that sounds like the same level of videos. Or what is it, rotten.com? Anybody remember rotten.com in the early days of the internet? Used to have gross, nasty stuff like what she's talking about. Yeah.
Tarot cards, these are obvious things. Angel cards, you guys, Christians, get these things out of your house. Astrology books, pictures.
Yeah, we already figured that. Astrology and all that. Tarot cards.
Pictures, images, clothing, if it's got a whole bunch of stars and
don't wear clothes with stars on it. What are you doing?
Capricorn this, and you're a Virgo that. No, you're not. You're not.
Well, yeah, you're not really. I mean, you are, because your zodiac is just the position of the stars when you were born. So you are. I am a Cancer. I don't think that means jack about who I am, my personality, or my behavior. I don't think it has any bearing on it. But I was born when that was the star signs, or when the star signs were in the position for Cancer. So yes, I am.
Not that. You are a child of God.
But I don't believe in your God for the same reason I don't believe in the zodiac. But there are physical stars that say, yes, I was born under that zodiac sign. There's nothing that says I was born under your God.
You are not a Capricorn. You are not a Virgo. You're not a Cancer. You are a child of God. You have to get rid of that stuff.
You can't get rid of when you were born. That's not a thing you can do. Most people in my family are a Cancer, killed by Bigfoot. My son's a Cancer. I obviously, my twin brother's a Cancer. My sister is a Cancer too. Both of my siblings are. My ex-wife is a Cancer. Her sister was a Cancer. So I've had lots of Cancers in my family.
In the name of Jesus Christ, Ouija boards. That's obvious. You guys, come on now. I gotta cover it, because if I don't, someone will say, well, she didn't mention that. Any record.
Yeah, she didn't tell me I couldn't have Ouija boards, so I went ahead and had Ouija boards. Now there's demons. What the hell, lady? You should have warned me.
Of psychic readings. If you have somebody pass away in your family, and you went to a psychic and they gave you the recording of, them connecting with the person that passed away. It was not connecting with the person that passed away. That is the familiar spirit. That's what they're conjuring up, are demons. You need to get rid.
So based on what? Why should I believe you over them? I don't believe them either, but I'm just saying they make arguments that they are channeling spirits and have their own evidence or own body of evidence that they give as a reason for that. You give your body of evidence for your reason for why you believe in the way you do and think that these are demons. So why should I believe one of you over another instead of just not believing either of you? Because you can't both be right, but you can both be wrong.
Of any connection to that. Blood items, guys, listen to this. And my prayer director actually gave me this example. She said that someone in her family, they lost their child in an accident, and there was a bloodied shirt from the accident, and they kept it and they held on to it. It was full of blood. You need to get rid of those things. You have to get rid of those things.
Just wait a minute. You're telling someone holding on to the child, to the last shirt that their child wore before they died. And you're telling them, nope, it has their child's DNA still on it. So they're actually still holding on to a piece of their actual, a relic of the child that they lost. And you're telling them they have to get rid of it. That's cruel.
I know it may be a very traumatic and sorrowful thing to happen.
No, they just shouldn't have to do it until they're ready to. I think, yes, carry it around with them or something like that could be pretty traumatic. But if they have it like in a sealed envelope or in a box somewhere, or even in a display case, even I'm fine with that. Let them grieve. Let them grieve the loss of their child in the way that they feel comfortable. Blood, the same thing with demons. I haven't seen the evidence that blood magic is real, so I don't think there's any harm here. What do you think blood magic is going to do? Again, you're just going to say it summons demons. Everything summons demons to you, lady.
Have to let them go. You may feel so connected to it. It's almost like it's a part of you. That'll let you know right there. There's a connection that does not need to be. Santeria beads, books on it.
I don't practice Santeria, and I don't have a crystal ball. Sorry, going into some sublime.
Anything to do with that, get it out of your house.
Isn't Santeria just, from my understanding of Santeria, and I've not studied greatly into the culture of it, it's a Catholic tradition. So why would being Catholic? Yeah. Okay.
Dream catchers. This is a big one. I understand that people think they're very cool. It's like a bohemian thing now. It's like a hippie kind of.
It's more of a. I always thought dream catchers were like a Native American thing. I always seen like Native American trading post stores and things like that. But yeah, I never considered them bohemia. Maybe they are a little bit, but yeah.
The vibe. I don't do vibes either. You got to get the dream catchers out your room. Get them out your car.
Doesn't Jesus have vibes?
When people are driving around with these dream catchers and their rearview mirrors, I'm just like, God, I just pray, Lord, that you would reveal to them that thing.
What do you think the dream catcher's going to... Oh, she's going to say, sorry.
Has to go.
It just has to go.
It comes from Native Americans. They made these dream catchers, and they believe that these dream catchers are going to catch in the web evil spirits from giving you nightmares. Guys, that is not biblical. You can't find it in the Bible.
If you can't find something in the Bible, it's demons. That's it. I mean, bottom line, demonic. Harry Potter. We're going to talk about Harry Potter. We're going to talk about 50 Shades of Grey or some shit. She's going to say everything's demon. If it's not in the Bible, it's a demon.
Dibbling and dabbling.
I like how she was like, don't wear your shirts with the stars all over them. What are those things hanging on the side of her head? What are those? Talk about not wearing shirts and stuff with stars on them.
And stuff you do not want to be a part of. Dream catchers do not catch evil. They release evil. Stolz. Now give me
evidence, please. Evidence that dream catchers release evil. I have not seen any evidence of that. You're just claiming it. Crystals, though. Now we're going to find out why rocks are demons.
When I say this, this crystal is a huge trend right now. Even in the church, it's crazy for me to say it, but it's true. Crystals. If I have crystals in my home, I say, this one I got is for healing, and this one is for protection, and this one is for this, and this one is to give me strength. The devil is a liar.
They're just rocks. The people saying that they do those things, they don't know any better either. But you saying they're no more incorrect than you are by saying they're the devil, by saying they have magic healing powers and whatnot. So again, you're just giving a dichotomy and just saying you're right just because.
Joy of the Lord is my strength, and I will only have the Holy Ghost's power, no other power.
What if the Holy Ghost is giving you powers through healing crystals?
There is no other power.
And what if that? So the crystal power can't be from the Holy Ghost? Hey, Natasha, good to see you.
Are absolutely powerless, and they are connections and doorways for demons. Demons love when Christians bring crystals into their home.
Why? What is so special about these rocks? Because I cannot stress enough that crystals are rocks. Why are these rocks evil?
Especially when they go, oh, I don't believe it actually does anything. I just want a bunch of crystals right here.
Because they're pretty. They're pretty rocks. Don't have pretty rocks. There's demons in them. Do you hear yourself?
Here on my dresser, I'm going to line them all up. I'm going to put a few candles over here just because I think it's pretty. The devil is really deceiving people.
By putting pretty rocks in your house. The devil's like, put pretty rocks in your house. Oh, that's going to be demonic.
Like, is that deep? Okay, so crystals that have some sort of purpose and power in your house? No, that's new age garbage. Get it out. Somebody type that in the comments. Get it out. Pendulums, these evil eye bracelets and evil eye necklaces, they're like a huge trend right now. Do not wear that stuff. Do not have that in your house. Don't let your kids have that. Get it out. Somebody type in get it out.
What, like, so just anything with eye on it? With an eye on it, it's the evil eye, I guess. But devil's a bird and like shiny things.
Sage for the purpose of burning. Yes, I'm going there. I'm going there with the most people on live so that everybody can hear me say this. I'm not talking about sage that you sprinkle on some chicken and cook with. I'm talking about bundles of sage that
She's talking about smudging.
People burn, talking about they're getting,
cleansing their house. It's a indigenous practice to burn sage in your home. It's a ritual that someone, you walk around to each room and you burn your sage and you get a little bundle of it, and it's supposed to bring blessings on your house and drive out evil spirits, that kind of stuff.
You're right. They're getting rid of the evil. Now the enemy has convinced people that it's actually for sanitizing the room. How is that? No, guys, that's deceiving spirit. It's not true.
Yeah, smoke does not sanitize the room. Nothing about burning sage will make your room any better, or may make it smell worse. This freaking patch, I swear, I need to get some medical tape or something to start holding my estrogen patch on, for fuck's sake.
You need sanitizer that bad? Get some Lysol. Do not burn sage like the Native Americans have done, like witches do.
Don't churches burn incense to ward off evil too? Isn't that part of like a you call the church and they come cleanse your house and things? It's not. This isn't unique to non-Christian denominations. There's several denominations, as far as I remember, that have incense burning as part of the cleansing a new home.
And through your house, and you have the Holy Ghost.
And there's holy water too, which is kind of has a similar property, or alleged similar property to sage and sage burning. I wonder if she's going to mention that. Should we have a vial of holy water in your home? Is that going to be evil? Attract demons?
Or maybe you don't, but you need them.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get that out of our house. Do not allow sage in your house like that. I'm telling you what I know. It is an open door for demons. As soon as they see it, they're going,
So far we have specific rocks, certain kinds of rocks, just by their I don't know, their crystalline makeup, that are dangerous and demonic. We have certain plants that, because when burned they produce a certain fragrance, attract demons. So plants are demonic, rocks are demonic. Let's see what else. We're almost finished.
This is a door for us. This is a legal right. We can be here now. We couldn't be here before, but now you got this in your house. You've come into alignment with it. So now we can come into alignment with your house and everything in your house, your children, your sleep, your finances, your body, your everything. And that
What must have, I know that a lot of you all are theists and ex-believers. I don't understand what it's like to feel like there's invisible forces, like literally entities working against you, like in your own home. Or is there like a demon floating here that I can't see, that's like I don't know, making my ears sore from my earrings. I wore heavy earrings yesterday, now my ears are sore, but I gotta wear earrings to the wedding tonight. So is there a demon that's like, oh yeah, sore ears because you have crystals in your rock collection?
that's a fact. All right. That's why the Bible says don't give the devil a what? A foothold where he can actually get in. He can get a hold of you. Okay? Let me keep going. Statues of saints. No, we don't have statues of saints. We don't have any of.
So she's like, a lot of this, if you haven't noticed, has been kind of anti-Catholic too, anti-Catholicism, which I guess is to be expected in like a strong. She seems Baptist to me. Maybe she's not though. She could be another denomination of Protestant, but there's a lot of anti-Catholic motivation in what she's been saying so far. Statues of saints is a very important one. There, she called them Santeria beads. I think she's just talking rosary beads in general, though.
Other God, but the Lord Jesus Christ.
No, the saints.
Father God.
The saints aren't gods. They're supposed to be blessed or whatever, right? They're not supposed to be gods. I don't think anybody claims that they're a god or being held to the level of gods. What about Orange Jesus?
Jesus and the Holy Ghost. I'm not praying to saints. I don't even want statues of them, because the purpose of the statue is for people to worship it, whether you do or not. That's why it was made. I'm halfway done with the list, so let's keep going.
I don't know if she's got part 2 up or not. Let's go look at her channel and see. So that was part 1. Angel. Angels blow a so far and rushing winds fill the room. Oh, we got angels actually interacting with stuff. We'll have to see what that is. Can I watch witchcraft movies? Yeah, she's got lots of stuff about this kind of topic. Prophetic worship. So what is the difference between witchcraft and biblical prophecy and stuff like that? Because weren't there seers and stuff in they called them magicians in the verses we were just reading about that Nebuchadnezzar called on. So these were practices. Let's see, did part 2 ever come out? Let me on. Oh, the dark truth about Halloween. We might have to visit that in October. October's right around the corner. We're getting spooky season time. Yeah, it's getting about a year ago. Did you guys see it? Did I pass it? Not see it? Looking for part 2. I thought it would just pop up. 5 signs you're under a spiritual attack. I don't know. We'll just do part 1 for now, because we've dedicated some time to that. But I do want to. I might get a copyright strike though for this video but I just wanted to bring up the part where she talks about kind of her experience or whatever. I'm going to speed it up though, because this is. Okay.
age of 13, I was started to get depressed. I was being bullied at school, and even though I was in a Christian home.
I'm same story, but I was not in a Christian home. I was in a kind of agnostic home.
My parents did the best they could, but they were heavily on the side of just abuse. And so when you were in trouble, you were beat. And so I believe the enemy used that to come against my self-worth, who I thought I was. And I was so depressed. I just thought if I would die, life would be better for everybody else. And so during that time, I was connected with some girls, and I remember going to a sleepover, and they watched a movie called The Craft. And this movie came out around 1996, and it was about 4 witches who were in high school, and these witches were bullied and picked on, and their lives were kind of messed up, and they used witchcraft to control situations around them and to get what they wanted.
Yep, I was in the same boat, hon. We watched The Craft, and me and my little circle of friends, we decided we were going to be,
I watched the movie, and I thought, I want that. Well, of course, in the movie, they went too far anyway, and the witchcraft had turned against them, and the girls were desperate to get out of it. But during that point, I didn't even see that ending. I just thought, oh, I won't go that far. I'm just going to be innocent. And I began to study the religion of Wiccan and study different spells and incantations and New Age practices and occult practices that I was doing in a Christian home that nobody knew I was doing. And so what started off as something innocent, where I'm just connecting with energy and the universe and vibes and all these innocent things that we see, took me down a path of just dark desperation. I felt at one point that I was living in like a haunted house, because I was hearing scratches on the wall right next to me. I would feel brushed by me and be terrified that somebody was here in the room with me. Someone was watching me. I always felt like I was being watched. When I would wash my face for the day, it was one of the most terrifying things that I did. When I took a shower and I had to close my eyes, I was so terrified.
Sounds like you got yourself all worked up about this witchcraft, hon, and started having because it's priming your brain to expect these things to happen, and you're like, oh, it's like closing the medicine cabinet. You can prime your brain to see somebody behind you.
If I had to get up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, I would run, because I thought somebody's going to grab my feet. I was in the dark at this point, and it took me far into drugs. I ended up being homeless and on drugs, in and out of jails and all kinds of things. For 9 years of my life, I was really in a dark place.
Thank God he set you free, Jenny. It was so grateful that you renounced that and you were a minister of the gospel, awesome worship leader. I love your testimony. 700 Brothers has covered your story quite a bit, and so we're so grateful for that. But you know, Jenny, it's so troubling to see that witchcraft and the occult is really on the rise, and we're seeing it in stores. We're seeing clothing promoting, hey, I'm a good witch, or I'm a bad witch. You know, we're seeing even witches having workshops and retreats and all these things.
That's because it's just another religion like yours. They're just practicing their religion. I don't think it's real, but I don't think yours is either. And I don't think that theirs is nearly as troubling as yours.
Why do you think this has become so much more mainstream, so much more acceptable?
I think media has done a good job of pushing something to the point where it is now normalized. When back in the day, something like that for you and I would be shocking to see. And now, because we have shows as early as, daycare age, promoting witchcraft and sorcery, and it's okay, boys and girls, say these spell words with us. And it's so ABC preschool witchcraft that it gets into the hearts and the minds.
What are you talking about? Where are they teaching kids spells? What preschool show is teaching kids spells?
Minds of people, including the people in church, and people who are not really connected with the Lord and don't understand, they're easily deceived. And the Bible talks about even the very elect will be deceived. And so people are going to a whole other source. That's what they're wanting. They want a healing crystal, because they don't understand that Jesus is the healer, and there's no other source that you can go to except through Jesus. And so I've seen a rise of this. I'm seeing it become very trending on TikTok and things like that. And there's a whole generation of people who I feel like are being rocked to sleep by the enemy. And it's just really time for the church, like what you're doing, do this interview, to sound the alarm and say that we need to.
But we've had the witch archetype present throughout history as part of our children's education. I mean, many of the children's stories that we grow up with include a witch character, fairy godmother. These kinds of things are not new. This is not a new concept to have magic and magical people and magical creatures and things and stories for children. It's not new to have even spells and incantations. There's magic words in The Hobbit. and this stuff, this is not a new trend. Oh, suddenly the enemy has moved in. The Brothers Grimm wrote of these stories coming from the very Christian region of Germany, is where most of those witches and fairy godmothers and in France and Germany in that area, and they were very Christian. That's the origins of these stories. I don't know why we're being presented with them as if they were some kind of this was some kind of new trend to introduce children to things like witches and magic.
Wake up and need to say, this is not right. It's not for my home. It's not for my kids. And I believe that a lot of young girls are being targeted because there's this one parent, the influencer on Instagram, for me, I think Lee Luna or something like that. And she partnered with Smashbox, the cosmetic company, and they created a whole cosmetic line using inspired by crystals. Right. Yeah.
So, but if they made a cosmetic line inspired by biblical verses, I'm sure you'd be fine with that.
They're pushing the envelope. They want to see everything pushing the envelope. What's trendy? What's really shocking? What's going to get the attention of people?
Crystals and having makeup with names out that's named after crystals is shocking, people. It shocks you. Oh my gosh, amethyst lipstick. That's the devil.
So they recreated that movie, The Craft, in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
They recreated the movie and they invited real witches on the set, and they had the witches before they would do a.
I haven't seen the remake of The Craft. I'm not really interested in it. There's my generation's version of The Craft. I'm happy with that. I might watch it if like my son wanted to watch it or something, but I'm not going to seek it out. If anybody else has seen it, you can give me a review of it and tell me if it's worth watching. I'm a big fan of the original.
Scene to cast spells and to invite the actresses to come into this circle with them while they were releasing spell words over the viewers and over the scene. And they broadcast and wrote articles like, isn't this amazing? We're getting real and raw with these real witches. And people are playing it in their home. And it's entertainment. And, Charlene, I always say the first part of entertainment is enter. So be careful.
She said that in that last video, too. But when you're depicting a faith of a people group in your film, it's sometimes a good idea to have representation of that people group to tell you whether the work that you're doing is an accurate depiction of them. So, right, why wouldn't we want that?
Entering your home. I have that in my home, but it is definitely a shock factor that our generation is really gravitating towards. That is so shocking. I didn't know that. We're certainly going to picture this door over there of that. I understand, Jane, that a lot of people are burning sage. What's your take on Christmas? Burning sage, what's that supposed to be? Burning sage is something that I did while I was practicing witchcraft.
But burning sage is not a witchcraft practice, just to make that clear. I believe its origins are indigenous to North America. I could be incorrect there too, but I believe that's correct, and I don't believe that. I think she said that in the last video. Acknowledged it was Native American.
Another witch that I lived with. The very first thing that we did as witches is we got bundles of sage from the New Age store, and we would burn sage to rid the house of evil.
Right.
So we would go in the corners and rid the house of evil.
And churches will do that too. If you ask a church to come bless your house, they'll often bring sage with them.
I never thought in a million years that I would see Christians doing it. I thought in my day, I thought this is just what witches do. This is what.
Right. Christians have been doing it for decades. I don't know. I don't know how long, but I definitely know it's a older practice for them. So because you didn't know about it doesn't mean it's a new trend.
People in the occult world do. This is what people in the New Age world do. And now.
But the Christian world is older than the occult world, at least as far as the New Age, which is with this emphasis on the new, because it came around, really found its own in the 60s. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there were definitely churches burning sages and doing house blessings well before the 1960s.
There's so much mixture and it's passed down information that people don't know the origins, and it's really from we go all the way back. We can see that it's steeped in witchcraft, whether you're communicating with spirit.
You don't know the history is the problem. It's not that they don't know the history, it's that you don't. And so it's scary to you. Since you don't know the origins of this, and when you see Christians doing it, even though Christians have been doing it for longer than New Age people, because New Age people are new, or new-ish, you don't know the origins of it.
Communicating with the dead, and you're trying to push these things back. But the only thing that will do that, the only thing that gets rid of evil is the spirit of our God. Period. And so I personally don't practice that. I don't run in partnership with that. I don't recommend it for anybody. If you're trying to clean your house, and get some Lysol. And if you want the evil to go, call on the name of Jesus. Anoint your house with the holy anointing water to pray over it in the name of Jesus. That's right. That's right. So, Jane, what are some other red flags that people should look for that something may actually be occultic or witchcraft?
You're just making stuff up at this point. It's she's the lady on the left is asking questions to the lady on the right, who is just pulling the stuff right out of her fanny, because like what she said about sage and the origins of that being with witchcraft and things like that's just not true. It's folk, like folk medicine or whatever, but it's definitely not something that the New Age people have introduced to the Christian community. It's something that folk traditions of like Appalachia and stuff. When you had they called a granny woman who and they were usually allies with the church, who people would go to when they were having some kind of affliction, whether it was medical or spiritual. In these poor communities, that was basically like their doctor. And they would do things like burn sage, and that became ingrained in the communities. It's a popular way of blessing your home. And yes, I did kind of just look that up, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, we've seen a rise of the, like I said earlier, healing crystals that give you energy. And when I have conversations with Christians, their genuine question to me is, well, didn't God make this? So isn't it okay? And I just want to caution people that just because something is here and it is made, like for instance, I can make drugs here. The drugs are on Earth. That doesn't mean that I should be partaking in it and putting it in my body.
But these are just rocks, hon. They're just natural rocks. They're not drugs that somebody's fabricating that are dangerous to you. They're just rocks that came out of the ground.
And so we need to be careful that you're going to the source and seeing healing crystals. You're seeing people wearing these third eye necklaces. You're seeing people that are channeling their energy and chakras, and people can be.
She hates New Age is really her shtick.
Getting with ancestors and getting their ancestor spirits to give them power. I'm not talking about the world. I'm having conversations with Christians who are doing these things. Dabbling in things that the origins of the event, like the event that we have coming up this weekend, Halloween, dabbling in these origins, where the origins, when you go back, you can't separate that it was steeped and done in witchcraft and the demonic realm. And so I was just.
But you don't know the origins. You've made that clear that you don't know the origins of most of these practices. You know a evangelical boogeyman version of these practices, but you don't know the actual origins of them or how they were practices. I got people in my side chat right now mentioning burning incense, for instance, goes back to the like Paleozoic, or not Paleozoic. No, it doesn't go back that far, to the Paleolithic era, when humans were basically what you would call primitive hunter-gatherer societies. They were burning incense. All right, that's about enough, Jenny, for today. Our ex-witch, but we will have to revisit her maybe around Halloween, because that seems like the right thing to do. And it looks like Jefferson Spatchcock's talking about Darth Dawkins over there, so I might have to pop in there. Let me finish up, though, because I have a couple more things, because now we've completed Creation Watch, and we've of course had our cryptic corner with our giant trees. I need to just step away for just a second, and when I come back, we're going to do some hive science and wrap things up. Sorry, not a normal morning. We have, again, the wedding this afternoon, so I got Ian and getting out there, getting ready for the wedding. So thank you so much for giving me just a little bit of grace there while I popped away to attend to that. Okay, so there's a couple of things that came up. Everything I have following here is from HiveScience. So let me get this shared here. And I think this is super cool, kind of sad, but still super cool to see. Okay. Here we are. Let me know if everything looks all right on your end there. Rare Florida snake found dead after choking on a giant centipede. The rimrock crowned snake has been on Florida's list of threatened species since 1975. When a visitor to a state park in Key Largo found the snake, the dead reptile had a giant centipede stuck in its throat. The rimrock crowned snake, Tentilla ulitica, is a rare snake in North America, and scientists hadn't glimpsed one in the wild for more than 4 years. But when one of the elusive snakes recently turned up in a state park in Florida, the sight wasn't a happy one. The snake was a corpse in a gruesome wildlife death scene. The visitor, John Pinkamp, Coral Reef State Park, Coral Snake, yeah. Coral Reef State Park of Key Largo found the dead snake on February 28th. It had choked on a giant centipede that was still lodged partway down its gullet. The centipede had been swallowed head first and was also deceased. While the grisly tableau suggests that the snake perished while choking on the monstrous meal, a centipede was found 1/3 the size of the predator. It is also possible that the snake consumed the lethal dose of the centipede's venom. Researchers suggest a new study published Sunday, September 4th in the Journal of Scientific Naturalist. So that was pretty cool. Saw the picture up there. Gives us some dimensions and stuff down here. So let's go on. Did I scroll down too far? Yeah, here we go. Rimrock crown snakes are non-venomous and have black heads, pinkish tan bodies, and measure 6 to 11 inches, which is 15 to 28 centimeters long. They are found only in the Florida Keys and along the state's southeastern Atlantic coast, according to the University of Florida Department of Wildlife Ecology and Conservation. The snakes have been on the state's list of threatened species since 1975. The last living specimen was spotted in 2015, while the last recorded sighting was a dead individual found that had been killed by a cat in 2018, said lead study author Kevin Ing, an associate research scientist with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Rimrock crown snakes have never been easy to find on Key Largo or elsewhere, as these small burrowing snakes spend most of their time hiding under leaf litter or in soil pockets, and are typically only seen after heavy rains force them to the surface, Ing explained. For snake lovers who keep a species life list, this is the holy grail in Florida. But most snake hunters have never seen one, despite weeks of searching, he told HiveScience in an email. Yeah, snake hunters you can herp like you can bird. You can go out herp watching and try to locate and catalog all the different native species that you find. When the park visitor found the dead snake, it measured about 8 inches, 21 centimeters long. The reptile's mouth was gaping wide, and the back end of a 3-inch long, 7.3 centimeter juvenile Caribbean giant centipede, Scolopendra alternans, was hanging out, protruding about 1 inch, 2.3 centimeters. Park rangers then contacted scientists with the Florida Museum of Natural History in Gainesville, who brought the snake and centipede to the museum's herpetology collection. Their researchers preserved and analyzed the pair, hoping that the specimens, united in death, would reveal clues about the snake's habit and biology. Extremely rare. As a snake biologist in Florida, this find was extremely exciting, said study co-author Coleman Sheehy, a research collector and manager of the Florida, or FLMNH, I'm just going to read the abbreviation. We have 15 preserved Tantilla ulitica specimens in the Florida Museum, which is half of all known specimens of this species known anywhere. We also have the holotype and paratype specimen. Holotype is like the original one that was used to name the species. And paratype would be one that was found at a similar time frame, but was not based on the timelines, and it was studied as a holotype itself. But when they found out that they're the same species, the holotype takes precedence. A paratype would be the other one that was studied. Where was I? Okay, which are the specimens on which the original species description is based. However, we do not have any specimens like this that died while eating prey, and don't think anyone else does either. The find was extremely rare, even for a common species of snake, he told HiveScience in an email. In our entire collection, I think we may have 2 other specimens of other species that died while eating prey. To learn more about what exactly killed the snake, the scientists used enhanced computer tomography, or CT scans, to peer inside the animal and visualize its last meal without physically damaging the specimen. It was unknown how long the snake had been lying on the path after it died, but the soft soil was still intact and in good condition, revealing an unexpected wealth of details. Look how long that centipede is, going right down the gullet. The excellent condition of the snake's soft tissue enabled CT scans to reveal the internal structure in exceptional detail. The trachea was so well preserved that we could actually see what parts along its length contained air and what parts were occluded. He said their scans revealed that the snake's trachea was compressed and may have been obstructed, possibly leading to asphyxiation, the scientists reported. Snakes are frequently swallow large prey and can vomit it back up if necessary, but in this case, it's likely that the orientation of the numerous legs of the centipede made it difficult to regurgitate quickly. Another possible cause of death may have been venomous sting from the oversized front legs of the dying centipede during its journey down the snake's throat. When study authors examined the scan lines, they detected a wound that was barely visible externally but showed more damage internally. While this injury is on its own wouldn't have been life-threatening, it may have delivered enough venom to be fatal. However, it is also possible that the snake was wounded prior to swallowing the centipede and the venom did not prevent it from subduing its meal. The scientist noted, if this scenario is correct, it would suggest that the species had some resistance to the centipede toxins, an adaptation that scientists have suspected but have not confirmed. This fluke of finding a freshly dead intact specimen on the surface provided a rare opportunity to do some detective work using state-of-the-art science, Ng said. We were able to get a good idea of what killed this rare snake, which probably could not have ascertained a dissection. All right, so that was, pretty cool find of this really super rare species of snake in the midst of swallowing a giant centipede. Both animals died, and now we have a lot of new information on the species. And I would think that if it's having a predator response to giant centipedes, that I would expect it to have some kind of venom resistance, because you don't just have a natural response to eat something like that without having the necessary prerequisites to tangle with it and to win. Centipedes will eat snakes too. All right, so there's that one. We're doing lots of dead animals today. So next up we have a giant squid corpse, half eaten, tentacles, stunned tourists in New Zealand beach. Experts call it a once-in-a-lifetime experience, definitely. A half-buried giant squid on the beach at Farewell Split Nature Reserve in New Zealand. One of the deep sea's most elusive and spectacular creatures, the giant squid, Architeuthis dux, recently astonished a group of tourists after it washed up as a half-eaten corpse on a New Zealand beach. A tour guide who was leading the group at the time described the chance finding as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The colossal cephalopod with a mantle measuring 13 feet long was discovered September 9th at the beach at Farewell Spit, a nature reserve in the north of the South Island. A lone guide from the nature tour agency Farewell Split Tours found the remains, which were half buried in the sand, and quickly alerted a nearby tour group to come and take a look. After diverting to examine the squid's corpse, the group spent time marveling at the amazing animal and snapping photos next to the rare remains. It's not common to find on any beach. If you're able to be there at the right time, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Anton Donaldson, a Farewell Spirit Tours guide who was leading the group, told the New Zealand Herald, but it was also sobering to see such a magnificent example of a large sea creature dead on land, he added. The giant squid are the second largest squid in Earth's oceans, dwarfed only by the colossal squid, Mesonial Teuthicus hamiltoni, and measure up to 43 feet in length. The hefty cephalopod, which are thought to be a real-life inspiration for the massive mythological sea creature known as the Kraken, live in deep water more than 2,950 feet, more than 900 meters below the surface, and are rarely seen in the wild. Let's check out this video here, and I'm probably going to wrap things up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't need that sound effects. Look how big it is. And gooey. Isn't that amazing? Look at those arms. That wild beak. You wouldn't want that beak to snap down on you. It would definitely be crushing. Guess it's making its way to South Africa. Yeah, that beak will straight up shred. It's unclear exactly how long the dead squid's entire body measured because most of its tentacles were incomplete or buried beneath the sand. It looks like the tentacles had been chewed by some other sea creature, such as a small shark or fish, Donaldson said. While I don't know for sure, I imagine it had been floating out there for a period of time and had washed up. The tour company informed the New Zealand Department of Conservation about the beach squid, and the agency will likely attempt to retrieve the remains so they can study, according to the New Zealand Herald. Seeing a giant squid up close may be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for most people, but it isn't the first time the remains of a deep-sea creature have beached on Farewell's Spit shores. In total, at least 6 dead giant squids have washed up on the beach of this nature reserve in the last 30 years. Farewell Spit Tours representatives told HiveScience in an email. In 2019, on the same part of the beach, another tour group came across a fully intact giant squid measuring 18 feet, 5.5 meters long. Farewell Spit Tours representative said in a statement at the time of the incident. South Africa, another location where dead giant squids are known to wash ashore in April. A 11-foot 5-inch long 3.5 meter specimen washed up near Komatiji, and in August, a 14-foot long giant squid was 4.3 meter was found on a beach near Cape Town. I love giant squids, by the way. So just that's one thing you do need to know about Bree is that if there's giant squids involved, I'm going to read it. But yes, so that was our little Hive Science segment today. We had the snake and the centipede as a wonderful allegory. Sounds like an old children's story anyway. And then we had this giant squid wash up, which is always a cool find. And this one's really intact and we could see its beak and everything. I thought that was awesome. We also, we talked about the demonic items in your house, and Jenny told us what we need to get rid of because she watched The Craft when she was a kid. And then, of course, we had in CryptoCorner the biblical giant trees, aka avatar trees, aka giant trees, aka world trees. Yeah, so we did have some fun this morning talking about some really cool stuff. If you have stuck with me this long, thank you so much for joining me for Live from the Hive. We are here every Saturday morning, 9:30 Central Standard Time, and our shows are pretty much like this. We do a Cryptic Corner where we look at some wild claims, videos, pictures, those kind of things. Then we move into Creation Watch, where it's more about people with some wild beliefs that we disagree with. And then, of course, we finish up with some science, where we explore some real natural things in this world that are fantastic and wonderful. Please, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button down below, go ahead and hit that because it does help the algorithm. If you enjoy what we're doing here, consider joining my Patreon, which is also I believe links down below, and contribute to the Hive. You can be a Patreon member for just $1. And participate in that. I know I haven't been active too much on my Patreon in the last few weeks. A lot of personal stuff going on. I'm sure everybody's aware. I've had to move recently and have been going through a divorce and stuff. So it's things are a little bit unstable right now. So I appreciate everybody for sticking with me. I will continue to at least do these Saturday shows for the foreseeable future. And hopefully when I get my equipment back, I will start again to do some more edited content for you guys as well. But until next time, please remember to be kind and take care.